move my. I want to be up here so that I can be on top of Jim. I like being up.
Keep your sexual privilege out of it.
I'm carrying you again.
Yeah. Jim. I like to be above Jim because that makes me feel like he's carrying me. He's a very good Robin. Him.
Yeah, got strong shoulders to carry that desperate Batman.
What a guy. All right, we had way too much to talk about on Tuesday to get it all in. And then Emily jumping in and chatting with us for a little while was phenomenal, but it put us even farther behind track. So we're back to talk about part 2, and this was always going to be planned. We were going to do this regardless because there's just so much news out there, and we took a week off while I was traveling. So here we are. We are back with part 2, and we are going to start off with Melina Mike, who is actually on site in South Carolina for the Diamond event, at the Omega Billiards Diamond event. So, Mike, why don't you take us through what it's like being there right now?
Yeah, it's pretty fantastic. You're basically in the middle of nowhere, right? Middle of nowhere, USA. But you got world-class players all around. Right in front of me, Billy Thorpe and Justin Hall are playing banks. It's got a derby kind of feel to it. Action starting to build up a little bit. Last night, Roberto Gomez picked up right where he left off from the Predator event out in Michigan. Snapped off the 10-ball event, which was filled with monsters. Reigning world 10-ball champion Shane Van Boning, Fedor Gorst, Joshua Filler.
The reigning 10-ball champion went 2 and out.
2 and out. How strong is that, right? With the template.
Yeah,
so,
that'll tell you how tough that tournament is.
Yeah.
Got 3 fouled out of the tournament, didn't he?
Totally by a one-pocket player, boys. So,
you want to learn how to move? Play one pocket.
Yeah. Tony can get there, man. Watch out. Tony can get there with rotation. But anyway, the Banks is starting to go and shape up. We're going to have a mixed doubles event start tonight, so that should be fun, which will include the Black Widow. So I'm excited about that. Fans are excited about that. There you go, representing. And then, of course, my favorite, the one pocket starts, the Calcutta, and I think the first or second round will go on. So it's been great, man. Tiring, but I'm enjoying it.
Good to be young.
Yeah, we'll talk about this maybe a little bit later, but we'll probably hold off on South Carolina mostly for next week since it's going to be going on. But as you said, Roberto Gomez snaps off the 10-ball. That's a pretty good showing for him. He went from second place last week in the Michigan to first place in this 10-ball event. Pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. So we're going to talk now. We're going to move it over to Mike Pinozzo, who I want to talk about the Black Widow news that he got from her agent. Because, like you said, Melina Mike, she is on site and she is playing for the first time since her diagnosis. If I'm not mistaken, it's the first time since her diagnosis. So I think it's pretty exciting stuff, and I think we should take a little time and talk about it. So go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, no, it's great news. It's typical inspiring stuff from Jeanette. That's what she majors in is inspiration. I think she looked at it as an opportunity to get out there and do what she loves, which is play pool. I mean, that's still what drives her, what she loves to do, and she's going to, play in the doubles event. I think she's teaming with Billy Thorpe.
Yeah, Billy Thorpe.
Right. And she'll play in the women's event as well. She doesn't have high expectations for how she's going to perform, but just that she's out there. I mean, I think it's therapy as much as anything else. For her
I bet she still runs up from everywhere.
I hope so. It's like riding a bike. Then she'll be fine. But just great news. I think it worked out well that it was in South Carolina because that's an easy enough drive for her. I know that there was an event that she had been scheduled for almost a year to go to that was a flying trip, and she just wasn't up for that. So that she could make, she could make a 3-4 hour drive, whatever it is, to South Carolina, and playing this event is great. And I think it'll be inspirational for I don't know what it was like there last night, Mike, when she walked into the room, but it had to give a lot of people goosebumps and just, it had to be just a feel-good moment for everybody, right?
Yeah, it absolutely was. She glows, man. You know, she's a superstar, and she's an ambassador for the game, the face of pool for so many years, along with maybe Efren, but Budweiser commercials, Budweiser posters. I remember being a kid and walking into a pool room and seeing her on there, and her story. And just thinking about it, I'm getting goosebumps. But her story is just pretty remarkable. The battle she's had, the way that she's faced it publicly, and kind of been a face and shared her accomplishments and her struggles. I tell you, like the whole room kind of stopped whenever she walked in. At least it did for me. But I was still I was starstruck, you know. And it ended
Have you met her before?
No, never.
Oh, she's incredibly humble too.
Yeah. Oh, I tell you, I started off by telling you guys this off air, but so last night there was some gambling going on. Christina Takac played Pia Filler, and then at this point it's like 1 a.m. or 12:30 or so, and then Christina and April Larson were going to go and play. So they decided to play a race to 9, and I'm sitting there and I'm sweating, and I'm on the other side of the room, and all of a sudden I'm looking, and right in front of their score, which is right in front of the table, is Jeanette Lee sitting there, quiet, no movement, just watching every ball. She didn't miss one break, one rack, didn't get up, didn't do nothing. Just sat there and watched the entire match. And just when I saw that, kind of like a young generation and passing of the torch, so to speak, right? But she's still there as a pool fan. She just, it's in her. It's in her blood, And this is at 3 a.m. I'm 35 years old, man. I was on fumes at 3 a.m. She's still there. And as she's walking out, right? I'm like, ma'am, can I get a picture with you? Didn't miss a beat, absolutely. Smiled, just fantastic. It was.
Wait, you didn't strong arm her like, hey, I'm Melina Mike. Why don't you take a picture with me? You didn't do that?
No, not at all. No.
She didn't ask you? I mean, come on.
No,
yeah, right.
No. I'll tell you one other story, and then I'll pass it on. But so Omega Mike had reached out to me a week and a half ago, and he was like, Mike, I got some big news. There's a chance that Jeanette Lee's going to be coming here. And he's like, and I'm so excited. And I can just feel the enthusiasm in his messages. And I was super excited. He says, you know what, Mike? I've won and lost a lot of money on pool. Gambling, putting players in, putting on gambling matches all over the world. He's like, this has made me more excited, the fact that she's coming back to play in this event, than anything I've ever won or any business I've ever been that's successful, anything in my entire life. This means more to me than any of that. And that's the kind of person Omega Mike is as well.
Yeah. It's just like I say, it's therapeutic for her and good. Had to be good for her soul just to sit there and watch, because she's she loves sweating match. She loves watching pool, even if she's not playing. 3 a.m. I mean, she won the action title at Derby City one year because she was up all night gambling and playing or whatever. So she loves the game that much, and it's just fantastic that she's out there participating, and it's great that everybody gets to see her as well.
There must have been quite a moment for Christina and April as well, to be setting up their match, and they go there and they look over, and who do they see sitting watching the entire match?
Yeah, sure.
That probably gave a little bit of an extra edge to the match as well. They'd have been feeling it. They'd have been thinking, "Oh, hold on a minute, the Queen's here. Royalty is here watching us play." Yeah.
You might have to go change your pants if she sat down to watch you, Jim.
Yeah.
You might have to go change your pants if she sat down to watch you play.
Oh, I'd go and sit beside her. I'd give my game up. Just go and sit beside her.
Yeah, of course.
No, but that moment, and there was maybe 30 people in the room, but I realized she's back, man, and she's just sitting there like the rest of us, just enjoying a great pool match that nobody ever saw, because it wasn't.
Great to hear. Great to hear.
Absolutely, yeah, just sweating it out, right? Yeah. Just like a fan.
It'd be interesting to see how she plays. It's not really. It's kind of a side issue kind of thing. How she plays, she'll just be glad to be on the table.
Yeah.
But like Nate, it wouldn't surprise me if she's still pretty strong. To be fair, I mean, you don't just lose it,
Oh yeah, I bet she. That's why I wasn't kidding when I said I bet she runs out from everywhere.
Yeah, she'll be so happy to be playing. Yeah,
it'll
no
just
pressure.
It'll just be a matter of stamina,
of course. Yeah.
But I'm sure she still hits the ball straight.
Well, I'll say this: she has the perfect partner for stamina, because Billy has a way of just injecting energy into anybody he's around. He really does.
Yeah. He'll keep it lively.
Yeah, he's perfect for the Mosconi Cup, whether he's playing well or whether he's playing bad, because he has a way of getting that crowd involved and getting that crowd jacked up. And the U.S. really needs it a lot of the times, because even when it's in Vegas, that crowd is 50-50 at best for the U.S. And in London, you're talking 85-15 to 95-5. It's almost all European fans. We need Billy's his energy to get.
Every team needs that kind of character. Needs one of those guys in the team. Every team needs it. Even the European teams, they need somebody that will get the crowd going. Somebody that the crowd can, not so much relate to, but they can feed off it. Feed off that energy. And if you don't have that energy in the team, then you won't really get the energy from the crowd either. So but Billy's kind of that for the USA. Jason's probably that for Europe, kind of thing. Gets the crowd riled up.
And Josh is pretty good at that too.
Yeah, they're important players. It's more than what they just do on the table,
Yep. All right, well, let's get jumping into what we're going to cover today. We're going to start with the Diamond Las Vegas Open because chronologically that was the longest one ago. And Kunlin Wu ends up beating Omar Al-Shaheen. So Omar Al-Shaheen continues his hot run this year. He's been playing a really strong pool. Third place goes to Shane Van Boning and Dennis Graba. Pretty good finish for Dennis Graba. Mike, you able to turn the gain down a little bit on your microphone, maybe?
I can try, man. I'm sorry. There's a speaker right here. Maybe I can mute it in the meantime.
Yeah, it's like jamming. We're jamming out just a little, Mike. It sounds like Korean love music, man.
Yeah, it doesn't really sound like pool room music, to be honest.
A little K-pop.
It sounds like Korean love music, man. I'm telling you.
Are you sure you're really at the pool hall? It's some sort of massage parlor or something?
Hey, it's Martin.
Oh, who's that ugly man?
He can't hear you. My main man.
He can't hear us. That's all right. We can say whatever we want about him. He can't talk back.
What's up, everybody?
Hello, Martin. So Martin is the manager for a lot of the Polish players.
I can read lips, though.
Conrad and Mieszko and Victor. He's the manager for a lot of those players. He's also doing a lot of great stuff with his Facebook page. He streams a lot of the matches, the Derny City Classic. So make sure to follow and like that page on Facebook. Pretty good follow there. And let's get back, I guess, to the results. We have, third and fourth goes to Shane Van Boning and Dennis Graba. And fifth through eighth goes to Victor Zolinski and Jesus Intencio. Great tournament. Probably the best tournament finish, I would say, in a major event for Jesus that he's had, if I'm not mistaken. Joshua Filler and Roland Garcia. And then we'll go to 9th through 12th as well because, why not? And that goes to Chris Reinhold, Ralph Suke, still getting it done, Jovan Bustamante, Nayuki Oi, Jungling Chang, Aloysius Yap, Francisco Sanchez Ruiz, and Jason Shaw. So there's not too much maybe that we want to talk about for this. It was quite a while ago. Kunlin Wu, that's a great tournament for him. Obviously, he snaps it off. Is there any big takeaways that anybody has?
I think, for me, it was, that was the kickoff for, the Yap, Oi, and Chua kind of run through the next 2 or 3 events that they were all in. Especially Oi and Yap. That was the start to their runs, and Omar as well, obviously. They were all in the thick of everything from that point on over the next 3 or 4 tournaments. So the other takeaway from that is what I'd like to discuss with you guys is not so much tournament results, but the format and the future of the Predator Tour relative to the players who are playing that. I mean, we obviously saw a lot of people not real crazy about the race to 4, format, and saw Shane and a couple of guys come out of that and basically say, I'm pulling out of the rest of these events.
Pull out of the rest of them.
I just want to do this, and just wonder what everybody's thoughts are on that.
Well, I guess when you have the Predator 10 ball event in Vegas and it's back-to-back with this event, I think it's okay, because if you look at this field, which was the race to 4, even the names that I didn't put in afterwards, you have Hunter Lombardo, Kang Lee, I guess this is 17th through 32nd, Kang Lee, James Aranis, Chia Chen Soy, Edgy Geronimo, Daniel Schneider, Carlo Beato, Fedor Gorst, Albin Ocean, Torsten Homan, Carlos Casto, Alex Kazakis, Tyler Steyer, Marco Tauscher, Dennis Arcoyo, Corey Duell. I mean, those are the
there was a lot.
yeah, those are the players that all finished 17 through 26. 17 through 32nd.
No one's arguing the strength of the field, and like you said, a lot of this is based on the fact that the World 10 ball was immediately following.
Yeah, so this is why I was going to say the format for Michigan. These players didn't show up. Yeah. I mean, some of them were there, but not many of those. Probably half of those players were there. I mean, just looking at it, Corey Duell wasn't there. Jason Shaw. Yeah, it basically was, right. I mean, Marco Tauscher wasn't there.
They were already in the country, so. They were all sticking around for a couple of weeks, and so they were going. But I would have hated to see what the Michigan tournament would have turned out to be, had the Europeans not already been here for the U.S. Open and the World 10 ball. So
if the players weren't waiting for the International Open,
yeah. So it's just kind of I think that there's some decisions that need to be made, by Predator. I mean, I commend them for trying to come up with a format that does a couple of things. I mean, they're not philanthropists. They're in this to enhance their brand and drive business through that as well. So they're trying to come up with ways that make events a little more exciting and a little more unpredictable and a little more fan friendly. So I understand them saying, okay, we're going to think out of the box and do something a little differently. But you can't argue with the fact that there's a lot of players that are going to turn their back on this. And so what happens going forward? I mean, the Ohio event, I imagine there's still enough Europeans still in the country driving around waiting for Norfolk in the International to come up that field will be okay. But I think there's some questions that need to be addressed going forward. Do you guys agree?
Yeah, Jim, go ahead.
No, like anything else, any new tour or tournament or whatever that's set up by whoever it is, whether it's one of the big dogs like Predator or by anybody else, you are dependent on the support of the players. And if the players don't support it, then you're going to be struggling, And the timing of the events, any event that you put in, any 10-ball event that you manage to get scheduled before the World 10 ball is going to be full of everybody, Any 9-ball event that you can get a week before the International Open or the US Open is going to be full as well. It doesn't really matter what the tournament is and who it is. And Predator are not going to get Predator, as much as they do. The players are not just going to play just because it's a Predator event. It's going to have to work with their schedule. It's going to have to work with their traveling plans. It's going to have to be financially viable for them. And if European players are having to come over to the USA to play one of the Predator tour events, and it has to be an individual event for them, there's nothing else for them to come over for other than that event. And it financially isn't viable for them. Yeah.
Mike, your thoughts?
The players don't like it at all. It's hard to go. It's hard to go and justify traveling that far in their mind to go and play races to 4, and with a rack that they go and deem, gaffy. So there's a lot of expenses, flights, hotels. So they want to get their money in better, it seems like. But from someone who has watched a lot of the events from home and watched, the Vegas event, I haven't seen fans really get as excited there at the venue as I have with this type of event, because the spot shots do make it exciting. People do go and join in around the tables, and not just with main names. I'm talking with the Gersons of the world. They're still standing around and watching and getting pretty deep. But there won't be success if the American players don't buy in, because it's held here in America. So why would someone in middle America? It's hard enough to get the fans there in general, but if the Skies and the Shanes of the world and the Fillers of the world aren't there, it's going to be that much tougher to go and get any kind of fans in there. The one thing that I will say is, number one, they're putting their money where their mouth is, that being CSI and Predator. So unless Americans want to go back to playing $2,000 added bar table events around the country, then to me it doesn't make sense to go and boycott it. I think this is one of the instances where I think the promoter may know what's better for the overall game than the players themselves. Because when I talked to Ozzy, he had numbers behind him where he was saying race to 9, just don't go and turn out. Like, eyes don't go and tune in on the race to 9 like they do in this format. So, I mean, just early on, right? Now we'll see if it's sustainable throughout the length of the season, and they've already announced dates for next year as well. But
including some Europe.
Yeah, it's disappointing though, and that's putting it mildly. Where you have guys traveling from all over the world who are traveling across the country now to go and play in it, when the guys who are here domestically aren't even going and showing them any love.
Yeah.
I mean, we kind of touched on it a couple of days ago. We were talking about Matchroom and the fact that, you know, they've probably been losing money, they've been leaking money even while they're expanding, but they're not looking at the short term. Obviously, they're looking at the long term. It's about what it will be, you know, and what they can make it. And as Predator Tour, at the moment, the players can look at it and say, I'm not happy with how it is just now. But if they don't support it, it will never become something else, you know?
Well, yeah, I think actually,
if it dies an early death, it never gets the chance to grow to something that could be something that everybody loves, including the US players. So, I mean, yes, if you're looking at the short-term thing, right now, players are maybe not happy about it. But support it at the moment, support it, and you don't know what it's going to be in the future.
I'll
take away that guaranteed $15,000 at the end. Take away that guaranteed $15,000 at the end of the year that Matchroom goes and gives them. Take away those World Pool Masters spots that they go and give them. I guarantee you they'll be a lot more appreciative of $25,000 added events then. You know, put a little bit of heat on their ass and they will be.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. But right now they got options and they can just go and sit back and they know, hey, I don't got to go and spend, you know, $3,000 to go and do that. I can
too many of the players are not prepared to invest in the sport. They think it's just them. You know, it's all about what they do.
What's happening is more players who are hungry are going to step in and they're going to become names. Yep. They're going to become vogue. They're going to become popular. They're going to go and get fans. And at a certain point, they're going to wake up and they're going to be like an old USA player, old European player, and wondering how and being bitter about why they're not picked for a Mosconi Cup anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's perfect for players like Victor Zielinski or Oliver Slonaki or
monsters.
Or Pius Labutis, like players like that are going to all these and they're getting time on the stream tables. They're getting time in front of the fans and they're getting the ability to get their name out there, because whether the big players go and play in this or not, people are going to tune in because it's exciting. I mean, it really is. Now I've often been called a Matchroom apologist. And I told you guys exactly why last week. I mean, I have. I've been called a sellout. I've been called an apologist. I've been called soft. And at the end of the day, like I continue having Matchrooms back no matter what, because they're the only people doing this, and there is actual change being seen. You can see that the players are getting slightly more professional. You can see that there are more eyes tuning into things. You can see that there's buzz going around these different events. As long as there continues to be change and there continues to be growth, I'll apologize all day long. I don't care. Call me a sellout, whatever it is. But the moment that we stop seeing stuff, then we can start being a little bit more critical. But anyways, back to Predator. This is me again. I'm being a Predator apologist because I'm seeing that they're putting their money where their mouth is. Like, I think Clay in the chat said it perfectly. Like, I'm not gonna quote what he said, but good luck trying to find a $25,000 added event. How often are
they're
those
working
happening?
on $1 million purse? When I talked to Kareem out in Vegas,
I know
was something that privately he went and told me. So guess what? If I'm sitting in that spot, you think I'm going to want those ungrateful guys who never showed up and supported us starting off to go and play in that event?
Yeah, it's not. You don't want to get into a situation where you're looking at it as a boycott. You're just looking at a situation where some guys are like, listen, this just doesn't suit me. I mean, I appreciate they're putting in the money and I appreciate they're having events, but, I like to have a decent chance to win. I mean, I work way too hard on my game to flip coins with people. So I understand that part too. What I think is there's got to be a middle ground. There's got to be talking points that the players and Predator and CSI can gather around and just say, okay, what kind of tweaks can we make without reinventing the wheel that give us what we want, which is a little more action-packed event, action, a little more give and take there, and instead players say, okay, let's make it, races to 5 or 6 and best of 3 sets instead of the shootout, and a better racking system or something. You look for some compromise to make both parties happy.
Feedback, Mike.
I'm sorry.
I think they're going to take feedback. I think
they have to. They'd be silly if they didn't.
Let me jump in here because I played in the Michigan event. In fact, I played first round against Ronnie Rose, who's actually in the comments right now, which is kind of neat because he came up to me and introduced himself, and then we ended up drawing each other. How exciting! Ooh. All right, so I was in the players meeting, and what they said in the players meeting for the Michigan event was that they will be changing it next year. Bear with them for now on the format for this year. They're going to change it, and just write it out for now. It's going to be different. But the big announcement that they made, and I really wanted to get this in here, was that they are no longer going to have $25,000 added events next year. The minimum added event that they're going to have next year is $30,000. The big event, the $50,000 added event for Puerto Rico, is no longer going to be $50,000 added. It's going to be $75,000 added. So not only are they getting blasted from the players who are saying, this format sucks, blah, 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 blah. They are still adding to the calendar more events that are minimum $30,000 added next year. And they're still adding new events. And they're increasing the amount of money they're adding to it. So, how can you not get behind what they're doing? If you want to nitpick the format, fine, go ahead and do that. But make it constructive. Help them with it. Don't just say your stuff sucks, we're boycotting you, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen, and then just go back to wherever you're going and never even pay attention to it at all. They're trying to make a difference. They're trying to help the industry. They're trying to actually make something sustainable for the players. Help them do it. Sign up, even if it's going to cost you $500 now to do it. Who cares in the future if they're running $50,000 added events in the middle of Battle Creek, Michigan? I mean, come on, that's real money that you can live off of as a player. I don't understand.
We don't want to go to Battle Creek, Michigan.
No, we don't. We really don't.
We don't.
No. I agree with that one.
These guys go to Louisiana, for crying out loud.
Yeah, that's true. He's got a point there. Hey, Mike, I got a question for you. How did you describe the place that you're at when we started this podcast? The middle of nowhere, America. Is that what you said? Is that kind of what you said? So let's what?
It's true. I mean, hey, listen, it's tough, man. It's tough to go and travel.
In South Carolina, isn't that where William the Refrigerator Perry was from?
I don't know, Mike. I'm trying to figure out something to go and do.
No.
I mean, listen, I'm offering. It's a great time to pool, and I don't want to just knock the players because it really is a fantastic time to pool. So I don't want to be just like Emily may go and say I may be a little negative at times. It's not. I'm just trying to be more realistic about things. But there has to be a compromise here, and I think that's what we're all in agreement with, right? It's not a perfect system, but the players have to go and give too. And at the end of the day, listen, they're adding $25,000, $30,000, $50,000, $75,000 added money events in pool right now. We haven't seen that.
Doesn't happen.
Players and other people in the industry, doing whatever podcasts. I mean, we have to have patience with this. Predator are doing the business. They're trying to create something. They're trying to bring value. They're trying to. The players are not. We just have a little bit of patience with them, and they have to communicate. Everyone has to get together and say, listen, don't just sit there and slam it the entire time and say it's rubbish. Come up with solutions, come up with ideas, talk to each other.
Well, I think that's a very important thing to say because, of course, the reason you're going to Battle Creek, Michigan at the end of the day is because they already have an amateur event there. So why would you? So if you already have the infrastructure for an amateur event, that part is genius, right? Because what you're doing is you're marketing the players that you're going to eventually try to brand as a global thing. I mean, sure, it sucks to go to Battle Creek, Michigan, but at the end of the day, what they're doing is there are 1,700, I think is what they had there. There might have been a little more, little less, somewhere between 1,500 and 2,000 people that were going to be there. And most of those players are Joe Schmoes, who's never even heard of Shane Van Boning, nonetheless, Aloysius Yap, nonetheless, Pius Labutis. These are the best players in the world, and they can't pick them out from a loaf of bread, right? So put these players in front of them, show them what real pool looks like, and show them how to act like a professional, because these players are showing up and properly addressed, they're properly equipped, they're acting professional at the table. Maybe it's because they're European, maybe it's because it's a Euro tour, who knows, Panozzo. But you know, they were all very professional, and at the end of the day, we have to introduce these people to the pros if we're ever going to have some sort of real pro tour that's I guess supported by everybody, not just the pros, but the amateur players that bang balls around on the tables here and there. Like we gotta do that.
Were the amateur players, the 1,700 amateur players in Battle Creek, were they there watching the pros play?
So I actually I joined the Sweat podcast yesterday, 2 days ago, and basically what I said was, or no, it was yesterday, but and basically what I said was, there was actually a pretty huge amount of people that were at Michigan that knew who I was, which was like pretty cool. But the idea is, like, they knew what the podcast was. They listened to it on occasion or all the time. And what I saw was every single person that came up and introduced themselves to me, I saw in the arena watching those matches. There was additional people on top of it, so don't get me wrong. But every single person that I saw that came up to me was constantly in that arena watching people. Now, is that because they listen to the podcast and they know who the players are because of that, or is it because they're so engaged with pool that they want to be not only listening to content outside of it, but they want to watch as much of it as they can too? I don't know if it's chicken or the egg, but the idea is there was not a ton of people that were in there watching, but all the people who engage with pool regularly were. So we need to figure out how to get people to engage more often.
Well, I mean, everybody does their little part. I mean, you do your part. You get people engaged. You get people involved. Fedor does their part. They have an amateur event. You get people engaged. You get people involved. You know, it's not going to – there's no switch that all of a sudden tomorrow it's going to be a 5,000-seat arena event. So, you take little victories you can, and everybody pulls in the same direction, and we get a little further every time. So that's what you have to shoot for.
Yeah, actually, I think Mark Vidal's point is really, really a good one there. Did you guys have you guys had the chance of reading his comment yet?
I'm reading it just now.
Well, I mean, it's hard to hit. It's hard to be heavy on top and then still have the suckers break even.
Well, I think the idea is
it's kind of asking for a lot.
I think the idea is you're taking some money out of the pot for a second chance. I think that's what he's kind of getting at. If the entire prize purse has, let's say, $25,000 added plus all the entries, let's just say it's $50,000. I think what he's saying is let's take 10,000 of it, put it off to the side for the semi-pros as he's putting them, and give them a chance to rise through the ranks.
Yeah,
I think it's a pretty interesting concept, actually, because I'll say right now, if I'm not at a 740 Fargo, but I'm like probably the very lower end of what would be considered a semi-professional player, and like I would have zero chance of being able to go to any of these things and make a living at this. So if I can't go to the touring spots and I can't play in regular events right now, how in the world could I possibly ever make a living and rise through the ranks to become a middle of the pack to maybe even a low tier professional player, or a low tier to a middle of the pack professional player? I mean, it's a real conversation, I think.
No, I don't think it is really. I think I mean, in order to become a professional at a sport, and this is not, don't get me wrong, this is not a dig at you, Nate. This is a dig at anyone that's even at my level, you know.
Well, this is exactly your level, 740 Fargo.
Yeah, that's it. And I wouldn't be able to become a pro. I'm simply not good enough. That's why I have a Fargo of 740. I play in events where some of these big guys are in it. Occasionally I can beat one of them. But there's a reason why your Fargo is that level. And it's not because you're not earning enough money with the sport. It's because you're not good enough. And you have to accept then that you're just a good amateur player.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, Jim, I think you're looking at somebody who's, if not peaked, has peaked or is going to peak very soon with your career, right? I think Mark Vidal is kind of getting to the point where like the next tier of players, like, because let's look at somebody like a Devin Poteet or even really, I mean, honestly, like a Chris Reinhold or a Tyler Steyer, they're right in that 740 to 760 Fargo rate, where it's really hard for them to make money at this game. But you can't possibly tell me that Devin Poteet or Tyler Steyer or Chris Reinhold are anywhere close to peaking in their career, yet they have to grind through the struggle now.
Yeah, of course. Everybody does.
It's called paying your dues.
Exactly. It's called paying your dues. If you want to earn money, you beat the big guys. We're not creating something. This is not a participation sport. where everybody gets something. If you want to win something and you want to create
I want some orange slices.
Then
Jim, I want some orange slices.
Practice, and be the best.
So just to clarify, I can't get any orange slices?
You get nothing.
And you like it.
All right, I'll take the loss on this one. I guess, Mike, we talked quite a bit about the format. Is there any other aspect of it that you wanted to talk about since you kind of brought this up to begin with?
No. I just wondered what everybody's thoughts were on it, because it's obviously something that the players are talking about, and it's obviously something the Predator is going to have to evaluate going forward. And like we all agree, there's got to be some kind of middle ground that everybody can reach for the players to understand that they're getting a great opportunity here, and for Predator to be able to get what they want out of their sponsorship, which is to create something new, something different, create an event that brands them. They don't want to just be Matchroom's, stepbrother. They want to be their own brand, their own entity. And if it's 10-ball events and it's the Predator Tour, then let them figure out what ways they can develop to push that brand the way they want to push it. And so, they're trying something a little different. And what I really respect is they're not changing it in the middle of the year because everybody's pissing and moaning. So it's like, just ride it out with us and we'll make changes for next year. Good for you. That's what you should do.
Let them take it to Europe. Let them take it to Europe, and then you'll hear more complaints on this side. Or better yet, let them go and take their ball and go home. And then you'll have them at the house complaining about these, $1,000 added bar table events they got to go and attend for the whole year.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That's it. I mean, that's a real thing.
They're all shouting for a number of years now. We need a professional tour. We need a professional tour. We need a professional tour. There you go. There's a professional tour. It's not perfect, but it's something we can work on. No, rubbish.
Yeah.
Not doing it. Not playing. Oh, well, great.
Yeah. So let me jump in right here really quickly. And okay, so I want to have this broader discussion, but I don't know if we want to have it today. But it wouldn't surprise me a bit if the Texas Open, Derby City Classic, all of the Turning Stones, name the Mez Tour, like the big West Coast tours. It wouldn't surprise me a bit if all of those tournaments are gone in 4 years. And I want to start out with that. But think about this: Matchroom has six events on their calendar. They added a 7th in the UK Open. They now have 7. I'm here to tell you that they're adding another one the year after that. There's going to be 8 Matchroom events in 2022. Predator now has a minimum of, I think, I want to say it's like 13 stops or something like that between the US and Europe next year. You have 13 Predator stops that are a minimum of $30,000 added, and you have 7 Matchroom events, and we all know about the Matchroom events. Where is the space for all these other tournaments, which I'm okay getting rid of personally? Let me just start right there. But how amazing is it that we're going to have 20 events next year that are a minimum of $30,000 added in pool? Isn't that awesome?
It isn't, but I think there's plenty of room for everybody else, and I think it actually affords more opportunity for everybody else. Because
maybe those are those semi-event tournaments that Mark was talking about.
Yes.
If you have the World Ball next week, and I want to stage a tournament the week before and add 10,000 to it, believe me, everybody's going to come to my tournament and get stroked for the big tournament the following week. So there's plenty of opportunity for these other events to feed into these bigger events. Also with the Matchroom events, you're not talking about a number of events which are, smaller field, invite, that type of thing. So it's not, there's a lot of people who, it doesn't matter to a lot of players in the U.S. that there's a World Cup of pool because they're not playing in it. They couldn't get it in, they couldn't buy their way in. So
that's true.
So there's still going to be plenty of opportunity for other events in the U.S. And if they're smart, they'll find out way ahead of time what the schedule is on these events that are going to happen, like the Predator events and the Open Matchroom events. And you coattail the front of it, or you grab something on the back end of it and stage a tournament, and you get plenty of action.
Yep.
But I think what you're going to end up finding is you're going to have 17 different tournaments that are trying to fight for those spots.
Yeah, big dog wins.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, I mean, we're not even talking about stuff like South Carolina, right? I mean, that's a great tournament that Mike's at, but that's going to take a back seat. Even if $50,000 added, that gets spread out quite a bit. Or like a White Diamond Classic, or the Super Billiards Expo, stuff like that.
Everyone's got to coordinate with one another, man. Like, we're all trying to get the same goal here.
Right.
You got to coordinate. Promoters got to go and coordinate with one another.
Yeah.
Everybody needs to talk to each other. They can't be trying to do their own thing and fight against each other, trying to block each other, and they have to talk to each other. And if you want your tournament or your event to survive, you better be on side with Matchroom and with the Predator rather than go against them, because that's going to get you in the shit. Because you're going to lose that battle,
Yeah, and just really quickly, Justin Mason, the Matchroom will never, and this kind of goes to all three of the last three comments. Matchroom will never do multiple tables because there's no reason to. The point of what Matchroom does is they're highlighting a tournament, right? When you're watching golf, you're not watching every single hole, a stream on every single hole. What you're doing is you're watching one person. You're watching one stream of the entire event, and then you're finding out little things here and there. But the idea is, like, Matchroom will never do every single table because they want all of the eyeballs on one broadcast that they could take that one broadcast to and go to all these sponsors on TV and say, this is our product. We're getting 1 million viewers when Judd Trump is on, and this is what we're marketing to you. This is our package. Give us your money, your ad money from Rolex, BMW, whatever, you name it, they can get it, but they're not going to get it from $30,000 on this stream, $60,000 on this one, $100,000 on this one, $4,000 on this one. It just doesn't work that way. They have to get them all on one thing so that they can take that one stream and sell it to big companies. And I think that's what they're doing. I mean, they're a production company. They know what they're doing. And I think that kind of touches on Ben and Eric's comment as well. So I guess, does anybody else have any thoughts on that before we move on?
Nope.
We're good?
Let's move on.
All right, well, let's move over to the Predator 10 ball. We have a brand new world champion. Congratulations to Glencocci. He is the winner of the Predator World 10 ball. Naoki Oi gets probably his best finish ever. I can't imagine. I know he's won a couple of all Japan Opens and stuff like that, but I don't think that. I think that fails in comparison to a runner-up at a world 10 ball event or a world championship in general. So Naoki Oi gets second.
Killer field. All Japans are no joke.
Oh yeah, they are.
Those are tough fields.
Oh yeah, they are. But a world championship, I think he'd tell you that I think is. Yeah. Johan Chua and Aloysius Yap get third, fourth. Jason Shaw, Conrad Yushishin, Carlo Beato, and Shane Van Boning get 5th through 8th. And the final 16th is rounded out with 9th through 16th. And that is Bader Aladawi, Alex Pagulayan, Marco Teuscher, Christopher, can't see his last name because it's too long, Billy Thorpe, Omar Al-Shaheen, Oscar Dominguez, and Jerson Boza. So another great field. This is a 64. You have to qualify to get into it. So everybody that's in there is plenty deserving of being in that field. I guess the big takeaway for me in this event is that Shane Van Boning destroys everybody in the field that he plays against all the way up until he doesn't, and then he gets blown out. And I'm going to say that this year right here was his best opportunity to get a world championship, and he missed all of his opportunities at this point. So I'm not sure if Shane Van Boning ever gets a world championship. We've already talked about this in the past. We don't think that it's needed for his career and for his legacy, but I'm sure if given the opportunity, I'm sure he'd like to have one. It's, I guess.
Who said that?
I never said it wasn't needed.
Who said that?
Oh, we've talked about it on the podcast before.
I'll say it.
Oh, come on, Mike. Come on.
No, I'll say it.
You gotta have a world title.
You gotta have a world title, Mike. Come on, man. Come on, Mike. What is he gonna have, the world straight pool title that he got from old Charlie? Come on now. Come on.
Well, that's my big takeaway. Does anybody else want to expand upon that, or do they have their own way that they want to go?
Another European world champion. There you go.
Shut up, Jim.
Get out of here, Jim. You're nuts if you think Shane's window is closing, because I've been hearing it for years.
Yeah,
he's washed up and he's not playing any good, and he doesn't care about pool. And maybe his priorities have changed a little bit. But guess what? I'm gonna bet on him every time, every tournament. I don't care who he's facing, what the format is.
I only say this was his best opportunity because there was very few Taiwan or Chinese players.
We said the same thing at the World Championships that Matchroom held. We said the exact
but next
same
year
thing.
China's back.
This was his only chance. And whenever China was there in 2015, he got to the finals back-to-back years. I think that was an accomplishment. I mean, that was phenomenal in my book. Getting to a back-to-back finals in those fields. Come on now, losing to Albin and Copenhagen. I mean, there ain't no shame in that. I think that he's still got game. He's going to continue to have game. He's got an intimidation factor that nobody else has in this sport. Not even a filler right now. After beating Chang, you should hear the amount of players that are top-tier players that talk about that match and what Shane did, how remarkable it was. Yeah, he's still revered by everybody, and he's still going to be a threat. Yeah. I'll never go and say it until he goes, I guess, 2-0. You know, but unlike Mike, I do think he needs it. As a fan, I want to go and see him get a world championship.
As a fan, I want to see him get a world championship too.
Yeah. I want to see him get 7.
I'll still argue that his legacy is not going to be tarnished by not having.
Well, I guess, yeah.
No, I mean, tarnished, no, but it will.
No, not tarnished. Yeah.
I feel it just cleans everything up if he gets.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it. But I mean,
then the discussion's over. Then it's done. Then nobody can say anything. Then he's won everything.
Agreed.
He's the modern Efren, though, right? I mean, that's what he is.
Yeah.
I mean, I've talked to a lot of pros that will not put him on their Mount Rushmore of the 4 greatest players of all time. And the reason that they cite is not because they don't think he's deserving. It's because he's not a world championship. Yeah. He's not a world champion, right?
Till I die, I'll say that there's. I don't know why people obsess with the word world. And you get into golf, you know what they have? They have the Masters. They have the Open. They have the U.S. Open. They have the majors. That's what you want to win. You go into tennis. They have Wimbledon. They have the French. They have the Australian. They have the U.S. Open. They don't get themselves bogged down with something as silly as world. We got to have world. There's the top in the world. You know, to me, it's a great tournament to have, and it is, you know, one of, if not the best tournament in the world. And you want to win that, but it's just another great tournament. I always say U.S. Open is every bit as big as the World Championship. Always has been, and Shane's got 5 of those. Okay, so you take those 5 against Albin Ocean's 2 World Championships. I don't know. I think Shane's legacy is bigger. So,
well, yes, I think that's a little bit. I think that's a little bit unfair, though. Because Shane is not being compared to Albin Ocean.
No,
Shane is being compared to the.
This is no slam on Albin. I'm just talking about World Championships worth versus major championships. To me, I look at people's major championships. How many of those big international titles did they win? Okay, if the World's one of them, great. God bless you. If the U.S. Open's one of them, great. God bless. If the International's one, the tournaments that you know that all the best players are there and they're tough to win and they're something that the players really want to have on their resume, then to me, a lot of those kind of get lumped in the same basket. And again, I go back to golf and tennis. They don't obsess with the word world because it's pointless.
Yeah. Well, I think it ultimately comes down to the correct analogy would be like you go through all of your residencies, you go through all of your schooling, and you go through everything to become a doctor, but you never pass that last test. For all intents and purposes, you're a doctor, you're a medical doctor, but you don't have that MD behind your name. And I think that's kind of what we're talking about with Shane. Like he goes through everything, he's go through every step, but he doesn't have the world title. He doesn't have the world champion behind his name.
I mean, listen, Joey Ryan came in the comments and said,
come on, Jim.
Joey Ryan came in the comments and said, I'm always bashing on Shane. I'm 100% not bashing on Shane. I want Shane to have a world title specifically so that this discussion gets put to bed. You know, I was kind of rooting for him to win the last Matchroom World Championships. When he was getting close, I'm thinking, you know, maybe we can just stop this now. Shane can snap this off. Of course, him not being a world champion will not diminish what he has achieved and what he's done. But there is always the discussion. and the discussion is done if he wins one. And I think, like Mike said, I don't think he's finished. I think he's still got chances. He's always going to be good enough. If Shane turns up at a tournament, it doesn't matter what tournament it is, he's got a chance of winning it, and that's going to continue as long as he continues to turn up with a Q in his bag, you know. And Mark Vidal was on there saying, all the second places. I'm sorry, for me, second places don't count. I don't care how many second places somebody has had, you know. And the players don't care about it either. They want the titles. It's as simple as that, you know. We've got a guy now who's just snapped off done the double. You've got an argument that winning the US Open and World Double is that better than 2 World Championships, or is 2 World Champions better than a US Open and a World Championship? You know, if you want to compare Albin to Carlo, you know, for me, winning one of each is better. So if winning one of each is better, then winning 5 US Opens, you'd probably rather have it split between World titles and US Opens. No, maybe.
Who knows? Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, like, Shane Van Boning's on my Mount Rushmore, but I talked to a lot of professional players who do not put him there, especially the European players, because I think the Europe weights World Championships significantly higher than the US.
Hold on a minute, but you know what they're not doing? No other group of people is going around and talking about them. Nobody, the way that they do Shane.
No, exactly. It says enough that we're having the conversation. Yeah. The conversation is continually happening because it's Shane. Yeah. You know, the guy is. I mean, or Mount Rushmore. I mean, you've got some people that would just move it to somewhere in London.
Hey, he was on Billiards Digest cover with Mount Rushmore, so it's already been solidified. This is a moot point.
Tell them where they can get a copy of that, Mike.
Yeah, that's right. We're out of copies. Shane bought them all.
Yeah.
Hands him out as his local grocer. All right. Let's move on from that. Are there any other topics that? I mean, congratulations, Glencocci becomes a world champion. I mean, he was ranked number 1 in the world when he was 21 years old, and I think if you'd asked him if he's number 1 in the world, or if he was even top 5 in the world, he would have said, heck no. I think if you hooked him up to a lie detector when he was ranked number 1 in the world, he'd say he's not even top 5 in the world. Just a guess. But now he's actually making a claim for really moving up into that elite top 5 tier player, in my mind at least. I've actually had him there for a little while, but what do you guys think about that? Where do you think this puts Eklund as far as top players in the world now that he's a world champion?
I think he's got a of course not, Mike. he's got a big break. He had a great run. He's a monster. The storyline is fantastic, man. I mean, you can't travel for a whole year and a half or whatever it was. Get to the airport and aren't allowed in certain places. There was a really good chance that he wasn't even going to be able to make it to Vegas because he pulled out of the Diamond event right before. He kind of lends himself to be kind of ridiculed with his tattoo, But listen, he backed it up, man. His first event back, and he snaps off the World Championship. And as much as I think that Shane's legacy is fine without a World Championship, it doesn't go and take away from the fact that he's a world champion. Like, there's still a big deal that there's a world champion being crowned in Cocci. I think it helps his argument for the Mosconi Cup, but is he playing in top gear right now? I don't know. I don't know, like, what gauge to go, like, how to go and rank that. I don't think he would want to go and play Shane, for money in 9-ball. I don't think he'd want to go and play Shane for money in 10-ball right now. So does that make him number 1 in the world by rankings? I guess maybe, but I don't know.
I'll say this: Shane made the comment or made a post on Facebook or commented on somebody. It basically said like, I beat Dennis and I've now beat Chang. Who else is going to play me? And then he said ... probably nobody. And Eklund commented on that, basically saying, "Slow down now, pal."
Yeah.
Well,
no, maybe it's a match. We'll see. Maybe it is a match. We'll see. I mean, it will be 10-ball, 100%.
Hello, Mike. Who's this new Mike Panozzo coming out here? I like him.
The only thing that I add to the World 10-ball was it's the first event I went to in a year and a half, and I saw a lot of guys.
I'm still recovering from you going to that event.
I saw a lot of guys packing to COVID-20, and when they came walking into that room, I'm like, wow, a lot of these guys spent the lockdown cleaning out their fridge. There's some guys that need to. Some guys.
I feel attacked.
Some guys need
I feel attacked.
Mike,
I feel attacked.
Relax, Mike. Relax there, buddy.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I saw a few photographs on Facebook of people thanking people, thinking, "Oh, you've put on a couple of Corona kilos."
The stories were great, though, man. Always not just a great interview. Chua, after being locked down for 18 months, comes back and has heartbreaking hill losses the way he did.
Yeah.
The way that Yap stole basically America's heart with his sportsmanship and his class and his skill. I mean, so many great things, so many players that are just showing themselves on the world stage.
Well,
I thought it was just phenomenal.
You mentioned Nate, Christopher, and you didn't know it's Christopher Ocampo, who you were trying to think of the last name for on that other person who finished in the final 16. He was one of two players from Peru who finished in the final 16. They don't even have pool tables in Peru. They're all three cushion
billiard
players.
tables.
Because they don't have the opportunity. And here's two of these guys come over here and finish in the top 16. There were just a lot of really cool stories to come out of Vegas.
Yeah. It's been an amazing couple of months.
Yeah.
And it's still going as well. International Open, 21 days. I mean, another great event. Yeah,
absolutely.
God, is it really in 21 days?
Crazy.
You might get a couple of hours sleep in between.
Get some sleep.
Yeah, Mike might sleep from now until then. Who knows? All right. Well, let's move on from that then, and let's get into our next topic, which I guess we've already talked South Carolina. So let's talk a little bit about Tony and Alex. They've played.
We're going into Mosconi.
No, let's do the Mosconi. Let's do the
Mosconi.
Okay, yeah. All right, we'll do the Mosconi Cup selections. And I know that somebody on here is very passionate about Max Leshner getting skipped over due to basically the Championship League pool. So basically, David Al-Qaidi has been announced for the U.S. For the Europe. Sorry, and then Sky Woodward for the U.S. No surprise there. Yeah, right. Exactly. That'd be okay. So David Al-Qaidi getting announced for Europe, I think is a bit of a surprise. Of course, it's on points, so maybe it shouldn't be. But Sky Woodward is no surprise at all. I don't think we need to talk about that one at all. So let's talk about David Al-Qaidi. Pinozzo, you're the big head. Why don't you start us off?
I have no problem with David Al-Qaidi. I think he's great, and he's, can't believe this is only the third time that he's going to be on the Mosconi Cup team. He's such a solid, consistent player, and such a great guy. I have no problem with that. But I do have a problem with the whole points list. It's Matchroom's ball. They can take and go home. They do whatever they want with it. So this is just a talking point. And hopefully Emily's watching or listening, and she'll post again, and we can goad her into coming on the show again. But
the last person who wished that isn't on this podcast right now. Yeah, there's Mike calling her up.
Yeah,
Demetrius is still off licking his wounds from that, I think.
So when they first came up with Matchroom first came up with their points list a year or two ago, the idea was to essentially get other events and other promoters to step up their games with tournaments and prize money and get more players to participate, and then make this big universal point ranking system that would feed into the Matchroom events. And I understand it because of COVID and the shutdown and lack of events, whatever. They kind of shifted gears and said, we're going to go opposite direction. We're going to go from our events out. Okay. But when you take what were there in the Predator Championship League, 18, 19 players total, all invitations, and you use that for points to determine what European player gets the pick, to me, just not fair. I mean, I'm sorry, Max Lechner didn't even get a chance to play in that. He didn't get invited. And they invited Christina and Kelly and Yasmin. No problem with that either. This is your event.
Even Chris Reinhold.
Yeah, Chris Reinhold. Right? You want to get these, a couple women there. You want to get different countries represented. I understand that. You already have Yasmin and Albin. So Max Lechner gets off, but he gets penalized for that. When you look at the events that they do have on there, World Pool Masters, Lechner finished 5th through 8. David finished 9 through 16. U.S. Open 9 ball, Lechner finished 5th through 8. David finishes 9 through 16. World Pool Championship, Lechner was 5 through 8. David was 3rd and 4th. Okay, so they're like neck and neck. Now David gets in because he gets all these points from the classic, from the championship league pool, and Lechner didn't get a chance to play. And this isn't about them in particular. This is just about two players. One had the opportunity and one didn't, and one gets left behind. Now Max, he could still make it as a captain's pick. He won't, but he could.
We can bet that.
But it's kind of, so it just again, I don't have a problem with David Alcade at all, and again, this is Matchroom's game, so they can do whatever they want. I just thought, I just think it's not fair. I wonder, did you guys notice that when they were going by the points list, and does this make any difference to you guys?
I'll say this before anybody says this, that decision not to invite Max to the Championship League pool probably cost him $40,000.
Yeah,
between money at the Championship League pool and the Mosconi Cup.
Or just the Mosconi Cup. Forget, they shouldn't have used Championship League pool as a points thing, whether Max got invited or not. To me, 19 players, half of them aren't even in Europe, doesn't equate to something that I would feel comfortable using points with for a determination on who gets a chance to play for $30,000 on the Mosconi Cup.
Yeah. So Mike, you want to go forward first?
I mean, he earned being invited because of his performances in the Whirlpool Masters. That's what I think about it. But I'm a Max Lechner fan. I think he's been the best player in Austria, not just. I think he's been one of the best European players, along with being the best player in Austria. I remember 2 years ago when I told him, I said, man, and this is at the World 10 Ball. I said, it's pretty brutal because I think you're the best player, but you'll never get on the World Cup because of how much chemistry Mario and Albin go and have. And then I think that year they ended up snapping off the World Cup of pool. It's the short end of the stick, Mike. It's not fair at all. It is no knock on David. I think Max is probably playing better. I don't want to say probably. Max is playing better than I think players who are going to end up getting picked for Team Europe. And I think they'll get picked for other reasons. But it's an all-around package kind of deal. And Max knew that he was up against it because he's kind of the afterthought of Austria, the afterthought of a lot of things. And it's unfortunate, but I think he's playing a phenomenal pool for the last 2.5, 3 years.
Jim, this is your backyard, buddy.
All right. What Mike's saying, it's correct. You could look at it as being unfair. But if you look at other sports, there's also invitational events in other sports that get a lot of ranking points, and there's only 8 players who are in line to get those ranking points. If you look at in tennis, the ATP finals at the end of the year, the top 8 performing players over the year get invited to the ATP finals, and they all win ranking points regardless of their performance there. So when the new ranking schedule starts after the ATP, then there's 8 players who have a head start against the rest. And if you want to get into that top 8, you're going to have to outperform those guys. Not just outperform them, but outperform them by the minimum amount of what they actually got for free at the start of the year in order to jump over the top of them. And it's maybe a little bit the kind of the same thing for players like Max against the players like the Alcaides and Jason Shaw, Fillers, the guys that are going to get the invitation to the Matchroom events that are the invitationals, to the Masters, to the Champions League pool. In order to get above them, you're going to have to outperform them by a decent margin to get yourself into their spot. You want to have their spot, and you want to be the one that's getting invited. There's a snooker player that recently, I was talking to a friend of mine, and this guy was kind of a struggling amateur, and then all of a sudden he won a couple of golf player, and he was a struggling amateur. He won a couple of events, very fortunately, or low events, but they gave him enough prizes that he then got invited into other events. And he said, once he got there, you're not struggling anymore because you're guaranteed points. You're guaranteed the points that you get just because you're being allowed to play in these events. And it works like that in all different kinds of sports. You have to, if as a player who wants to break into those top, the Matchroom group, you're gonna have to win something big, to get in there. And Max hasn't done it yet. I'm not saying he won't. But
he's come very, very close.
Yeah, but he's not the guy that's guaranteed an invite to all of them. He's not he's not an Albin or a Shaw or a Filler or a So these guys do have an advantage because they are going to get invited all the time. They've earned that right to be invited and to have those advantage-free, ranking points. It works in other sports like that as well. Is it fair? Has Max kind of had the short end of the stick because of the system like that? Yes, of course he has, but he's not the only one that's had it over the years. It's happened to others before, and it'll happen to others in the future.
Panozzo, what do you think?
I just wondered whether that was a Nick Vandenberg reference. No, I listen. I understand there's arguments both ways, and it's always a good discussion, the Mosconi thing, and I just felt really bad for him in particular. But again, I say to me, it's not about whether I think Max should be in and David shouldn't. I just think that the opportunities weren't equal, and I didn't think that was kosher.
Yeah.
And
one thing it does do is it makes life slightly easier for. I think it makes life slightly easier for Alex and Carl, because Al Qaeda would have been one of those guys that would have been they'd have been looking at for a wild card. So that's well, you can shake your head if you want. I'll tell you now, Al Qaeda was one of the guys that was being looked at for a possible wild card. So that's one less player that has to be in that pot that they have to pick out of. Yeah. So that's.
Yeah, I'll say this. So I get accused a lot of being a Matchroom and a Predator apologist, and I also look at as being a Team USA hater. And I would like to consider myself a Team USA realist, because I look at the performance that we put out there every year, and it's not very good. The only thing that I would say about this entire discussion, I can't add anything that you guys haven't already said. The only thing that I would want to add to this is that it's really a bummer that, because I actually agree with Mike in this. I think that Max Leshner deserves to be on this team, and I think he's plenty deserving of being on this team. It's a bummer to me that even Europe doesn't have to get their team right to win. The U.S. has to get their team perfect to win. Team Europe doesn't. So there's almost never going to be any sort of repercussions for not getting it right. And
Mike, ask Alex Kazakis how he feels about that.
They need a lot more than to get their team perfect.
He got tortured for 2 years from European fans.
Well, I don't think that was just Alex Kazakis. I think that was pre Eklund really stepping up and being a contributing member too. I mean, it mostly went on to Alex Kazakis, but Eklund wasn't playing great then either. I mean, but at the end of the day, like I think it's I just think it's a bummer that Team Europe can basically do whatever they want, and they're really starting from a pretty big advantage when it comes to the Mosconi Cup. And Mike, I don't know, Mike, are you agreeing with me by laughing, or are you like?
They're up against it. What else can you say? I mean, it's going to be tough either way. Because Europe is so deep, there's always guys who are going to be left out. Look at Francisco Sanchez-Ruiz. Look at Dennis Grave. Look at probably what ended up being Kazakis after winning a World Pool Master this year. Fedor may not go and make it in after he finally got through. I think there's a lot of guys who are going to end up feeling left out, but that just shows how competitive and how deep Europe is.
And we're not even talking about like a lot of legends who could still probably get in there and play, like the Darren Appletons or Nick Vandenberg, like was said earlier. I mean, I know he was making a comeback and playing some pretty top pool. I don't know if he's probably not playing anymore, but he was working towards a comeback. There's a lot of players,
and it's a lot tougher. It's a lot tougher this year, and even tougher last year for somebody to break through into the Mosconi Cup team, because there's only these 2 qualifying spots.
Yeah, but Jim made a good point, and he doesn't make very many, but he made a good point here.
We better highlight him when we can.
You got to go and win something. So it's not just going in deep in events over and over again. You got to go and win. If you look at Shaw, if you look at Fedor, they've won before. Mm-hmm. So I mean that you got to be a winner to go and get on that team. It's not just being great.
And Fedor, Fedor's won. And winning relevant events too. It doesn't do you any good to win a World 8-ball championship, or even the World 10-ball. It doesn't do you any good, right? You got to win events you got to win 9-ball events.
Yeah. Really, you do. And
You do. You got to win 9 ball events,
and preferably in the Matchroom Arena on that table
Yeah.
in front of the cameras, and that's good. And then you see who the guys that you. If you're talking about bringing a rookie in, you want to see that he can perform on that table under
Absolutely.
those lights
Yep.
on the television, and that's going to make you a proper Mosconi Cup player. Now, if you've only got 2 qualification spots and you've got 3 wild cards, now Alex Lely's not an idiot, you know. He's not going to pick a rookie. Why would he? Why would he throw a rookie in? It's never going to happen. So, I mean, I agree that I'm looking at some comments. I agree. Dennis Graves could easily have been on the Mosconi Cup team already in his career. Sanchez Ruiz easily could be in there. There's a host of players that could easily have been in it, but they're never going to get picked as a rookie. It's not going to happen. They're not going to get a wild card as a rookie because there's too many players who have already shown on that table and in the Matchroom Arena that they can do it, and that they're a guarantee to go out and perform, even on a bad day at a level that's going to win points. You can't gamble on somebody who's never done it.
Yeah, why take a risk when
as long as
going to do it?
With there only being 2 qualification spots, it was always going to be tough for anyone new to get on the team. You know, which is why I personally think that the team is going to look very, very similar to what it has done over the last couple of years. Al Qaeda comes in, and one of the players from last year's team goes out, and the other 4 are the same.
Can I say who it's going to be?
Who might that be, Jim?
He's been mentioned already today.
Well, it's because we've named the entire team yet. Yay for knowing already. All right, let's move on. I guess, is there anything else in that this area that we want to discuss?
I think what you guys think for the other 3 USA players. Is there a clear-cut choice?
Tyler, Chris.
I don't know. It's
Tyler, Chris, Oscar. That's who I want to see.
No, Billy.
I don't think that's going to be your 3, but Shane, you got to think that they're going to pick Billy again for various reasons. I mean, he did perform pretty well in a couple of tournaments this year, and he's their emotional
If he's available.
Guy. If he's available, yeah.
We'll just say that if Billy's available.
Yeah.
Oh, you're determined not to talk about it, aren't you?
I'm not determined not to talk about it. I just I don't necessarily.
Don't do it.
Yeah, don't.
I'm not going to. But we don't know. We don't know anything.
I'm assuming nobody knows anything. So.
Yes, we don't know anything.
It's you got to assume that if they had their druthers, if they have it available, they're gonna pick Billy. Then you got the last 2.
And Billy, Tyler, Chris.
Which to me is between Tyler, Chris.
Actually, I'd like to see Oscar. I'd like to see Oscar be in there.
I love Oscar to death. I'm just kind of still thinking that, you got to keep going young. And get these guys to seasoning and to training. They're going to need get them used to playing in that atmosphere because they're going to be your guys for the years coming ahead.
Laura Berg says
you better start getting used to them now and getting them in there now. I mean, that's what Mark Wilson tried years ago when they gave him the Mosconi Cup, and all of a sudden there was Justin Bergman and Justin Hall in there. Nobody knew who Justin Bergman was. Now everybody's like, oh, they're not going to be anything without Justin Bergman. Well, that's what you got to do with these young guys. You got to throw them in there and let them take their beatings at the beginning and let them get used to it.
I think Jeremy Sosi's ship has sailed after he didn't go to the U.S. Open. I don't think he has a chance of getting in anymore.
Yeah,
he was event
impressive at World Championship, but you got to keep showing up.
It's got to be more than one event.
Yeah.
You got to show it in a couple to.
Yeah.
I hope Chris Reinhold now, as he's called now. I hope he gets in again. I'd like to see how I thought he performed quite well last time, but without the crowd. So I'll be interested to see how he does with a crowd in there now, because that's the real Mosconi Cup, and then you find out a lot more about your rookie players or your new guys coming in, your inexperienced players.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you have a drunken, belligerent Jim Telfer screaming at you.
Well, I say he proved 50% of what he needs to prove. That he can play on that table, but do it with the crowd there. That's going to be the difference.
Mike, any comments?
I'm completely biased, and I want Oscar. I want Oscar.
I'd like Oscar as well.
Oscar on the team. I think he's been playing great, but he didn't go to the U.S. Open, so I know it's hard to go and get him on that team. I think that the drama is not over yet when it comes to Mosconi Cup picks, to say the least. And I don't know. I think there was a lot of guys who had opportunities to go and take the bull by the horns. I was going and barking for Tyler to go and make it, and after the way he didn't perform the last month and a half, I don't see how they can go and put him on that team, to be honest with you, because he's just come up a little flat, in my opinion.
Yeah, he has not been playing good pool the last couple.
Yeah, he's got to perform all of the international.
That's it. I mean, if he gets in, it's going to be purely on the basis of the two Mosconi Cups that he performed well in and that they won, and that's too long ago now to pick somebody for, because he really hasn't done much since.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
Jim,
we're not
to be
as
fair,
deep as Europe is, Jim,
I was going to say, to be fair, if he gets in, it might not be because of the way he performed. It might be because there's no other options.
Right.
Yes, it could be a default.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
He didn't, the second Mosconi Cup, he didn't perform in at all.
Well, okay, but
he still finished 500.
He was on the winning team.
He finished 500 still. He didn't play well, but he still won. He won 3 and lost 3. I know he gets dogged on a lot for playing bad.
He was up against to go and make Team USA this year for a number of different reasons. But you have to go and play first. You have to go and perform. And I think he had a bunch of losses at events that were just head scratching, to me. And he wasn't even on the radar. But I think he did perform good, 2 years ago. And we'll see. Keep Facebook refreshing on Matchroom Pool. I'll tell you that.
Well, it should be. I mean, I spoke to Alex not so long ago, and it should. I mean, I guess the first announcement should be coming out any time now. Really, I think Matchroom may even have the information already from the captains. They may already know who it is.
I feel like after the international, I feel like both coaches will take till after the international till they pick their final 5th player, because that's a real tournament that you can get.
You're talking about 4 weeks.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a lot of.
They've done it before.
Yeah, that's how Jason Shaw got onto the Mosconi Cup 2 years ago.
But now, especially for Team USA, Matchroom have to know who their team is very, very quickly to make sure that they can get the travel commitment and everything organised. It's not something that can be done last minute in the situation we're in.
You could get 2 players ready for it, right?
Well, they have to. They have 2 ready for it now. Well,
I'm saying that
Neight Mindham will be there.
That's right.
Waiting in the wings.
Yeah, I mean, I'm playing on. I played Michigan. I thought I had a pretty good performance. I won 1 match. I think I'm ready to go. I'm ready to get into that arena.
Put it this way, I think Matchroom have already got 4 European names. Shall we say?
I agree.
I think they already have 5.
Maybe.
I think all of y'all are gonna get in trouble if y'all keep on talking. That's what I think.
All right. Let's move on.
We've established that she's not watching because she didn't react to Mike earlier.
Let's get moving on. Let's talk about Michigan next. The Michigan tournament, it was already described as a Euro tour, basically. But Aloysius Yap finally breaks through in, let's say, Western Pool and gets his first win. Aloysius Yap beats Roberto Gomez in the finals. Mario He and Oliver Solnacki get 3rd, 4th. 5th, 6th goes to Konrad Justishin. I'm getting better, but not on the fly. Leon Hanto, Dennis Graba, and Glencocci. And then 9th through 16th goes to Torsten Holman, Fedor Gorst, Pius Labudas, Victor Zelnitsky, Mika Immonen, John Mora, Kang Lee, and Alex Kazakis. So lots of European names in there. Basically, actually, all of them are European except for maybe 6. I guess it's a Euro tour. The European players that are hanging out till the International Open need something to do, and this was a great option for them. So I guess my big takeaway is that Aloysius Yap finally breaks through. He's been placing high, and he finally gets a win. That's the big thing I take away from it. Any of you guys have anything that you guys want to highlight?
Mario He, another afterthought of the Mosconi Cup, who I think should be on. Played phenomenal. continues to play phenomenal.
I feel
really
like
in form.
I feel like Mike has like 17 players that are supposed to be on the Mosconi Cup.
Hey, I mean, it's tough, man. You know, people always say like they can go and make 6 teams. I mean, they really could.
Just about.
No, but yeah, I mean, Yap was phenomenal, no doubt. Roberto's kind of had a history of missing like, you know, balls in big moments. You know, whether it's matchroom or tournament play or whatever. And to see him come up a little short, but then to follow that up with the win here at the Diamond 10 Ball event was pretty awesome. So congratulations to him. I think it's just pools wide open right now. That's my biggest takeaway, that anybody can go and win it, but then there's also guys who are being consistent. So, yeah, I'm enjoying it. As tired as I am and as tired as I look, I'm really having a ball.
Get that guy an espresso. Jim, what do you think?
Yeah.
Listen, it is what it is. People can have be a bit disappointed and call it a Euro Tour, but you know, the players that wanted to play it turned up and played it, and it wasn't a European that won it in the end. So, yeah. I don't know how much to take from it. Like you said, it's kind of a bit of a gap filler for the players. You know, you never know with these tournaments exactly how much effort they're putting into it, or how much they really, you know, how seriously they're taking it.
I'll tell you what, Jim. If you're getting to Battle Creek, Michigan, you don't know anything about Michigan. If you're getting to Battle Creek, Michigan,
tell you what,
you are trying as hard as you possibly can.
The tourist board of Battle Creek, Michigan, are going to be suing your ass.
I'll tell you what.
Any
Jim,
tourists that were planning on going there have just cancelled.
You want to know what Battle Creek, Michigan is known for? Their crime rates and Kellogg's cereal. That's it.
Hey, breakfast is important. Most important meal of the day.
Absolutely. All right, Pinozzo, what you got? Oh, you muted yourself. What a rookie move. What a rookie move.
Every time, Mike.
Not muted.
Now you aren't.
Okay, I wasn't before. I don't know why it was.
Oh, nobody could hear you.
But what I was saying was that the lawyer for the tourist board is going to have to get behind the lawyer for the players.
We caught it, but just barely. Your audio's going in and out.
Oh, that's too bad because it was a really good one.
Try it again for the third time.
No, I was just saying that the lawyer for Battle Creek's going to have to get in line behind the lawyer for the Polish team the way you've been pronouncing their names all day.
Oh, I know. It's rough. Well, I mean, it's just Conrad.
Yeah, no, it's it was great to see Yap win, and it was disappointing to see not as many Americans in that field. So that's my takeaway from it.
Yeah, it is sad to see that there's I mean, Kang Lee, he is from New York. I'm not sure if he's an American citizen. I just met him, I guess, in Vegas. He's really, really, really cool dude. A lot of fun to hang around. I don't know if he's an American citizen or if he isn't. I'm just showing my butt there.
Well, if he is, he can get on the Mosconi Cup team probably.
Yeah, possible. So he was in there in the final 16, and that's it. So, and I'm not even, to be honest, I could reach out to him and ask him, but there's no Americans in the final 16. 53 players. There's a couple dead money Americans that were in there, like me. Other than that, I mean, not much. It's sad. And from what somebody said, that there's no Americans basically signed up for Ohio either.
Yeah, that's not surprising.
But I'm trying to think of the international Open. How many Americans are going to sign up for that? Because I'm sure there's going to be way, 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 way more foreigners than there are Americans for that.
Well, I don't know. They're at over 120 players. So if you go 128, it's not going to be more than half Europe.
Well, between Asia and Europe, I mean, for a standard year, maybe not this year, but like a standard year, I would bet.
Yeah.
For a standard year, I bet there's more than half the field is international.
Yeah, it could be.
Just a guess. I don't know. I guess, I mean, first place for this, I'm not sure why you wouldn't show up. $12,000 for first place.
It's not bad, is it? I mean,
no, that's great. Second place is $8,200, $4,200 for third, fourth, $2,000 for fifth, eighth, $800 for 9/16. I mean, that's break even. If there's 52 players in this, 800 is, you know, you're going to need to make a little bit more than that. Probably fifth, eighth is break, you know, profit. The break even is probably $1,200 or something like that. $800 for 9th through 16th in a 52 player field. I mean, I don't see why that's not enticing to American players. Yeah, the race to 4 is whatever. Getting to Battle Creek is not easy. It really isn't. So that's inconvenient, but like, man, it just seems like these should be supported a lot more, and they're just not.
Well, we should start shaming players on the podcast.
All right, that's Molina Mike's. That's his job. Come on, Mike.
Start shaming players. Come on.
I ain't doing that. Oh, they need to get on board. I don't know, man. We've already beat that horse, though. I mean, it is what it is. We'll see. Yeah, we'll see what happens. You know, I don't want to keep on beating that horse.
Yep. All right, so the last two things that we want to talk about, we'll talk about this one really quickly. Basically, I think this might just be a discussion between Molina, Mike, and myself because they're one pocket. Tony versus Alex. Alex ends up winning 36-29, and that was winning 5 straight to close it out. Tony was kind of chasing the entire set. He kept on getting within 3, 4, 5, and then he'd lose back out to 8 or 9, and then he'd get back up to 4, 5, and then he'd lose back out to 8 or 9, and he got it to 31-28. Is it 31-29? I think is actually what he got it to, and then Alex wins out. I mean, I honestly thought Tony's confidence going into this. I thought he was going to win it. He thought he was going to win this, and I mean, you can't go into these matches thinking that you're going to lose, but like he honestly wanted to bet as much money as he could get on this because he didn't think that he could lose. Mike, what's your thoughts?
There was a lot of money. Something like 80 a man or something. It was a lot of money.
Yeah.
For me, my biggest takeaway was that I dogged it. Alex is still Alex, and whenever the bet's right, he can be Alex. So as inconsistent as he's been since he came back from the Philippines after COVID, he can still move phenomenally. And I know Tony said he had a little bit of an injury that was kind of hampered his mobility. But I don't know, Alex just looked like the better player to me. And I think that spot isn't really a spot, it's more of a sucker spot. So it was pretty much even in my book. So Alex is the better player still. You know, Tony, I don't know if Tony will ever get there as number one, but Alex certainly has a case for 1 or 2.
Did he play really well? I mean, I didn't see it, but you know, did he play like the old Alex?
It was 4-inch pockets, and he was firing them in like he's on a valley, Mike. I mean, it was incredible. Like, and I hadn't seen Alex go in pocket balls like that since he came back. You know,
and
he made it look.
And his cue ball was not good either. His cue ball when he was running racks, when he was running balls, like when he needed to lock somebody up on a safety, like when you're going back and forth trying to create scoring opportunities.
Yeah.
I mean, his cue ball was really good. When his cue ball, when he was trying to go back and
squeeze,
like. Yeah, of course. But like when Alex was trying to just create himself some scoring opportunities, and he was trying to win those safety battles to get the scoring opportunities, his cue ball was pretty dang good. But once he actually had an opening and he was starting to run balls and he had 9 and out opportunities, his cue ball was not good. It was not, and he was still firing. And I mean, he didn't miss balls. I mean, he didn't, and his cue ball was not. It was not 2010 Alex. His cue ball was loose. But he did not miss balls.
Can do, though. They can beat you. They can beat you so many ways.
Yes, and Alex did not miss balls. Once he had a scoring opportunity, it was it. I mean, he was running out. I mean, it was. I mean, I was the same way. I mean, I've been a little harsh on Alex. I think over the last basically year, because I mean, when you get to tournaments, he hasn't been doing it. He hasn't been winning tournaments. He got second back-to-back, or won one of them. I think he won the Midwest Open, and he got second the weekend before to James Aranis in Philadelphia.
It's hard though, man. You can go and play for $30,000 any night of the week in Vegas whenever you want. Like how? Explain to me how it's hard, how it's easy to go and get up for a tournament where you're there grinding the way that you have to. One match a day here, and then you're playing 3 matches on the back end of it if you decide to go deep.
Especially if the tournament's at a casino, huh?
Yeah.
I said nothing.
All right.
So I mean, I guess, yeah. I mean, my conclusion's the same. I cut him short. I thought, I mean, I did say in my one pocket ratings, I got to see it before I remove Alex from the number one spot. So my heart was telling me to keep Alex. My head was telling me to pick Tony, and yeah. So I guess in the grand scheme of things, well, let me actually say this. I was on a podcast yesterday, like I said, and I said this. You ever see those posts on Facebook where you're like, which celebrity death hit you the hardest? And you think about it. And you ever see those? You guys know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
This right here was the one pool match that hit me the hardest. Because Tony was on the podcast, and he said that if he wins this match, one, he's going to be giving he's going to give Alex a chance at his money back even. So we missed out on that match. But before he said that he was going to do that, he said he was going to give Dennis the same action. He was getting 9-8. So we missed out on two more.
He needs 9. No, he still needs 9-8 from Dennis for sure. And I don't know if he.
The point is now that Tony lost, we missed out on both of those matches. I'm sure he'll try to run it back with Alex at this, but
still go again.
Tony can get staked in Louisiana playing it the same way. That's the only way he'll be able to do it, though.
Yeah, maybe, and hopefully we do. But the idea of getting to watch two more matchups where Tony beats Alex the first time and plays him even, and then plays Dennis, that's great. I wanted to see that so bad, and maybe we still will. Who knows? I don't know. But we were guaranteed it before. So I guess the last thing that's on our radar that we're going to talk about really quickly, because it's happening next week, is Devin, Poteet, and Fedor playing one pocket, and I just don't see how this is a thing. I just don't see how Fedor ever loses this.
Has he ever
Mike,
played one pocket?
I don't care. Mike, okay. All right, Mike. All right, so Mike, go ahead.
If the bet's high enough, I like Devin. If the bet's not high enough, I'm going with Fedor. And that's all I'll say. So, but no, I mean Devin's a really underrated one pocket player. I think he plays
of course he is.
As good as Warren. And whenever he was making the rounds over the last 2-3 months, he's been going deep in rotation events here in the States and in one pocket events. So Devin can go and play. Again, I don't see how it's going to be. I don't know. It's hard to wrap my head around it. I don't know how much I'll be watching, but Brendan and Team Players Club, they do a phenomenal job and help support guys as well. So, I'll throw my $20 at it. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. It's kind of, we'll see. If the bet's high, though, I like that. That's what I'll say.
The way that I look at this match is very similar to the way I looked at Joshua Filler and Tony Chohan. Josh and Fedor right now, maybe they're playing pretty close to about the same speed. If one of them's better than the other one, it's not by a lot. It's by a little bit here and there. But are you going to say that Devin is in the same level as Tony? Because Filler beat Tony, and Filler didn't know anything about one pocket when they played.
No, come on, no. You're talking apples and oranges here.
Yeah, you can't. That's yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Maybe
all I'm saying is we've seen an elite striker who doesn't know a lot about pool play against a one pocket player. And
Fedor ain't banking the ball like Filler is. Nobody banking the ball like that. That's European, And at that time, Filler was shooting straighter than anybody on planet Earth. Like anybody on Earth, he was shooting straighter than whenever he played Tony. And Tony was aggressive with his cue ball and was trying to be too, for the cameras. That's what got Tony in trouble. Tony's supposed to win that match, and I guarantee you, Tony would go and play for big money today against Filler. I mean, big money.
I mean, they played again in Vegas, and Fedor or Filler won again. I mean, it's only a race to 5, but Filler won again, 5-4.
Yeah, Tony don't care about $1,000 a game or a $5,000 set. I don't do nothing for Tony. That's a first quarter bet for him on basketball.
Right.
We're talking about here.
Okay, that all right. I don't see it. I mean, we'll see. Fedor hits the ball super strong, and we'll see. I think.
Has anyone seen Fedor play one pocket before?
Yeah, he's played a little. Yeah,
right.
He's been playing pretty good actually.
No, I've never seen.
He moves like my grandma.
Wow.
But he's going to run out every time he can.
He can run. He can run ball.
Yeah.
Well, that's okay. Yeah, you can't leave them open, but you can't do that with anything else. I mean, I don't know. I can't call this. I don't know how strong Devin is. Never seen Fedor play one pocket.
It's only $20. Go support Devin and Brendan and what they're doing out there, and everybody go tune in the Players Club.
Yeah.
Next week.
Mike, anything that you want to add?
No, I'm good. I mean, it's just, I'll throw $20. It's not the sexy matchup that I'm looking for to spend a day watching pool. So it's great that these guys are having these matches and they're being streamed. There's some money being thrown around, but like I said, it's not going to pull me away from watching my Murder She Wrote reruns.
Oh, priorities, Mike.
We'll be talking about Alex and Fedor later on. They don't play for a couple of weeks, so we have that on the radar. We'll talk about that when the time comes, but it's not really on the docket right now. So I guess that finally gets through everything that we had to talk about. 2, 4, 6, 7 whole topics we made it through today. I think we had some pretty good stuff along the way.
Yeah.
So
I was hoping for an Emily appearance, but no go.
Yeah, bummer. Maybe. Well, we got Jim. That's the second best option, right?
That's right.
Oh wait, I don't want Jim on top of me. Go back down there. All right, there we go.
Well, there we go. I'm holding both of you up now.
Yeah, you got it, bro. You can do it. We have faith in you.
We need it.
All right, guys.
All right, boys.
Fun.
Well, Mike, keep an eye on how Jeanette plays out there. I'm anxious to see how she does.
Yeah, make sure
I'll go live and
everybody go over and follow Windows Open. In fact, before we tune off, let me get the link for that.
No, I'm sure they'll have her on the stream. OmegaBilliards.com. Go buy the pay-per-view. I'm sure she'll be on there. They're gonna be,
great.
They're gonna be showcasing her a lot. So go support her.
Of course, but on top of that, people need to follow you because we need to get your updates as well. We need the analysis.
Yeah.
But if you don't want us to go follow your page, we don't have to. Should I take it down?
Yeah, please. No. You're good.
We're good. We're okay. All right.
Yeah.
You guys need to hug it out.
Air hug.
All right, boys. It's been good.
All right.
An hour and a half.
Yeah.
I got to get to work.
Good enough.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We'll see you guys next week.
Peace.
Cheers.